Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is New Music Picks 2026. I'm going to talk about 7 albums that came out over the past week and give my quick first impressions of these. 6 of these came out on February 27th, and one of them came out February 24th. I'll talk about them in my order of preference, starting with Neal Morse Band and their album L.I.F.T. Who knows what that stands for? If you know what it stands for, let me know down in the comments. I don't think the band has said, but this is the 5th album by this band from the US, and it's symphonic progressive rock. And this one, I'm kind of on the fence between excellent tier and near masterpiece tier. I really love it. I think it's awesome. Um, Leaning towards excellent tier. Don't know if it has quite enough for me to call it near masterpiece. But I really enjoyed their last album, Innocence in Danger. That's also an excellent tier album for me. And surprisingly, I've never heard other releases by this band, but I definitely need to go back and check out everything they've done before this. So I've only heard Innocence in Danger in this one, but I have heard a bunch of Neal Morse solo albums. I've heard his work with Spock Spirit, all of that. I've heard all his work with Transatlantic, Neal Morse and the Resonance, and Cosmic Cathedral, as well as Di Virgilio, Morse and Jennings, which are all bands that feature Neal Morse. So I've heard a lot of great stuff from Neal Morse before, and he usually puts out excellent stuff. He only has a few exceptions to that rule and a few misses here and there. So I was definitely looking forward to this, and the singles I heard ahead of this album were great. It's a pleasant surprise to see Mike Portnoy, one of my all-time favorite drummers, still playing in this band despite his return to Dream Theater. I thought he might have been forced to break up with all his bands, but I guess he managed to keep this one. And the whole album here by the Neal Morse Band is an amazing journey of an album. It has all sorts of different vibes, from some parts being progressive rock, some progressive metal even, some straightforward singer-songwriter moments, some gospel-sounding choirs and religious themes. And I love the whole album. I think it's even better than their last one, Innocence in Danger. The only thing I'm not as keen on is the overtly Christian lyrics, but I do look past that for music this good. And my favorite track currently is Hurt People, which has some of that more prog metal edge to it, which I enjoy. So if that sounds good to you, check out L.I.F.T by the Neal Morse Band. Next up, I want to talk about a band called A Wilhelm Scream and their album Cheap Heat. This is the 8th album by this American band, and it's melodic hardcore punk rock with skate punk, pop punk, and even some heavy metal influences. And this is I'm putting it in my very good tier. In fact, every other album I'm going to talk about today is in my very good tier. Not quite enough to cross over to excellent, but all still really solid, very good albums. This one by A Wilhelm Scream is actually fairly technical and progressive as far as punk music goes. It's definitely still in that melodic hardcore punk sound for fans of Propaganda, Choke, and even if you're a fan of Protest the Hero, I think you'll like this. Protest the Hero kind of goes a little bit more towards the prog metal side, but they always have that melodic hardcore punk influence in there. So if you like that side of Protest the Hero, check out this one from A Wilhelm Scream. This is very good stuff, just like their last album. Excuse me, had to sneeze. Didn't feel like pausing. Announce the Apocalypse is the next band I'm going to talk about, and their album Void. This is the 4th album by this American band, and it's kind of like progressive thrash metal. It's got some melodic death metal, some groove metal to it. I'm putting this in my very good tier as well. And I thought the 3rd album by Announce the Apocalypse, which was called Experience Machine from 2024, was very good as well. And then I checked out 2 tracks from this one ahead of time, which were solid. Final Destination and Her Remains. And this band sounds like a mix of like Lamb of God, Nevermore, Vector, Slayer, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, and Queensryche, like all kind of lots of different vibes here. It's hard to like pin them down, whether they're thrash, melodic death, groove, or prog. Like they kind of have a little bit of all of it, even some like traditional heavy metal sounds. Mostly harsh vocals here though, but some clean. And I suspect this might be another concept album like their last one, but I'm not sure. I didn't really follow the lyrics. But I'm also putting this in my very good tier like their last one. I do think their last one might be slightly better than this one. But if you're a fan of this style, check out Void by Announce the Apocalypse. Next, I want to mention Motorpsycho and their album, The Gaia 2 Space Corps. This one is the 30th album by this Norwegian band. They're a busy band. They put out a lot of music, very prolific. This is psychedelic rock with indie, alternative, progressive, and hard rock influences, and I'm putting this in my very good tier as well. And I haven't heard every album by Motorpsycho yet because they've released so many, but I've been following their last several in a row, and I thought their self-titled from 2025 as well as Ancient Astronauts from 2022 were just excellent albums. The other ones that I've heard recently were Yay and Nay and Kingdom of Oblivion. Those ones were very good for me, but not quite as excellent as those other two I mentioned. And for this one, I think it's better than Yay and Nay, which were much more stripped down and simple. But this one, to me, isn't quite as good as Ancient Astronauts or their self-titled. So I just gave this my very good tier rating. But check it out if you're a fan of Motorpsycho or if you just like psychedelic rock. I think anybody who likes that should enjoy this. Next up is Paul Gilbert and his album WROK. Not sure if I should pronounce that rock or WROC or just spell out the acronym. This is the 19th album by this American guitar player. It's like hard rock with heavy metal, progressive rock, blues rock, power pop, some neoclassical shred guitar influence in there from time to time, some bluesy guitar playing too, just some riffy stuff. He's the co-founder of the band Mr. Big. He was also a member of Racer X. I listened to his Dio album from 2023. I thought that was good, but I didn't go back to it much. I expected this new one from Paul Gilbert to actually be instrumental because I just remember listening to his last Dio album, which was. And when I hit play, I found out that this album has vocals, which actually made me enjoy it even more than the Dio album I heard from him. So I put this in my very good tier. Amazing guitar playing as expected from him, Paul Gilbert. Check out WROC if you want to hear some sweet guitar playing hard rock stuff. And for another amazing guitar player who sounds very different but is equally amazing is Pat Metheny with his album Side Eye 3+, which is a mostly instrumental jazz fusion album. And hard to say how many albums he's done. It might be like 40 something anyway. He's an amazing American jazz fusion guitarist. And I'm putting this in my very good tier as well. Pat Metheny's done so many studio albums, live albums, soundtracks, compilation albums, albums under just his name, albums under the name Pat Metheny Group, Pat Metheny Unit Band, Pat Metheny Unity Group, Pat Metheny Trio, as well as collaborative albums, duets, trios, quartets, and being in other people's groups. So I think this is somewhere between album like 41 and 48 for like solo album number 41 to 48, depending on what you count as solo albums for him. Now, I haven't listened to him too much, but I did listen to his 2021 album, Road to the Sun, which I thought was good. And the early single from this new one was called Don't Look Down, which was good. Not exactly my main style because it's instrumental jazz fusion, but this guy can play a mean guitar and it sounds beautiful. I guess it's not technically a fully instrumental album because there were some wordless backing vocals on one track at least, but it's essentially an instrumental album. And I like this a bit better than Road to the Sun, so I put it in my very good tier, but I still don't think I'll go back to it much. I prefer vocal music. And if I do go for instrumental music, I like some of the crazier and heavier instrumental prog metal, like Animals as Leaders, Intervals, Polyphia. This music is very well done, but it's a bit soft. It's like something that might play in an elevator or a lounge. Even though it's technically amazing, it's very chill. So if you want something like that, definitely check out Side Eye 3+ by Pat Metheny. And last one I'm going to talk about is by the amazing YouTuber Andy Edwards, and it's Captain Jazz Rock. And Andy Edwards is from the UK, and this is instrumental, experimental jazz rock fusion. I'm putting this in my very good tier as well. Andy Edwards is a drummer. He also plays guitars, bass, keyboards. He does everything on this album, I believe. Maybe he has some guests. But he's been in several bands in the past: Frost, IQ, Rain, and more. He's played with Robert Plant, and he has a popular and entertaining YouTube channel that I like to watch sometimes. So I decided to check this album out, and it's on Bandcamp. So I had to listen to it there. It's not on Spotify. So check it out on Bandcamp if you want to hear it. And it's just a instrumental jazz rock, not my main style of music that I listen to, as I focus more on prog metal and prog rock. But I've been dabbling in some jazz fusion these days and finding some enjoyment in it. There's very cool drums here, some funkiness, and a lot of fun to them. And the album ends with an almost 14-minute epic track. So that was pretty cool. If you like jazz fusion instrumentally, then check out this one, Captain Jazz Rock by Andy Edwards. And that's it for my first impressions on these 7 albums that came out recently over the past week. What do you think of these? Let me know down in the comments. And did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you're in the right place. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay in the loop on when I post new videos. My next video in this series, I'll be talking about new releases from Era, Moontooth, and I'll be checking out a compilation album called Help 2, which is a charity album that features a stellar cast of musicians features contributions from Black Country New Road, Last Dinner Party, Arctic Monkeys, Depeche Mode, Olivia Rodrigo, and more. 23 different tracks over 4 sides of vinyl, and all proceeds to support War Child UK, who work in the most dangerous places in the world to get children life-saving supplies and mental health first aid they desperately need. So that'll be cool to check that out, and really looking forward to that. My next video, between now and that video, I'll probably put out my top 10 favorite albums of February, as well as what are the albums I'm going to be listening to in March, my March album release radar. So if you want to see those, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.